Andrew Tate, as many know him, a multi-millionaire, former multiple-time world kickboxing champion, Bugatti owner, provocateur, and one of the most Googled people in the world after an almost unheard of exponential rise to fame within only a couple of months. From being an obscure internet figure to being the face of the emerging masculine movement within the same year. Odds are, if you ask anyone who uses TikTok or watches podcasts, they have heard of him and have a strong opinion on the man, whether positive or negative. Throughout his conversations with different podcast hosts, he has continuously predicted and has been correct about him being banned off of social media and being arrested. His prediction that is yet to come true is the fact that he will be murdered. Will his seemingly debaucherous personality and nature get him killed? How likely is it that Tate is actually murdered because of a higher authority wanting to silence him? And what should Andrew do so that he is not suicided by the powers that be? Tate was first banned on social media platforms Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube on August 23rd, 2022, along with other online platforms like Airbnb, Twitch, and Uber. Before his accounts were deleted, he had 4.6 million followers on Instagram, 740,000 on YouTube, and was getting millions of views on TikTok from people reposting his longer format content. He also had 127,000 people subscribed to his online course who would pay $49.99 every month before that was also shut down, removing a $6.3 million per month recurring revenue stream from the former kickboxer on just this one venture alone. Many criticisms came out after he was banned because of the suspicious manner in which the ban was carried out. He was seemingly everywhere with over 10 million followers across all platforms to being excommunicated from every Fortune 500 tech company with different CEOs, terms of service, and parent companies. Was it a coincidence that within a 24-hour span, he was gone off of the face of the internet? It was almost certainly a coordinated effort to remove Tate off of popular platforms in order to limit his message. Companies like TikTok and Facebook cited he had violated their hate speech etiquette and said misogyny is a hateful ideology that is not tolerated. Nevertheless, stars like Cardi B have been celebrated and propped up by the media, even though she has admitted to purposefully drugging and sedating multiple men in the past. Regardless, it seems like Tate will never get to have an account on any of the platforms ever again. After all, these are private companies that can run their businesses as they see fit. The only large social media Tate has an account on is Twitter, of which he was unbanned from on November 21st. Of course, recently having changed management to that of Elon Musk, who is also a provocative figure, who is consistently in the news and has become polarizing across the media. We can see the contrast of leadership from that of Elon and someone like Mark Zuckerberg, and how Elon runs his business differently than the other forms of media mentioned before. Having a lot more lax terms of service in the case of free speech, and what is allowed as appropriate by the moderators of the organization. Tate gained over 1 million followers on Twitter only 24 hours following his unbanning. Not only this, but popular podcasts like Full Send and PBD continued to have him on their channels, further popularizing the man even after his internet death. He continued to push the envelope and bring to light controversial topics as he criticized governments, the medical industry, and the banking industry, and the corruption that lies within all of those entities. Whether you like him or not, it is undeniable that his charisma and controversial nature continue to catapult him into extreme relevance even after he was banned by every company where one shares their thoughts and opinions. It is possible that those who feel his influence on young men is dangerous recognize this and realize that their banning of him months prior in the 24-hour news cycle era we live in today was still not sufficient, and that more extreme measures needed to be taken. Fast forward to only a couple of weeks after he was allowed on Twitter, Andrew Tate, along with his brother Tristan, were arrested on charges of human trafficking. This came only days after he engaged in a verbal dispute with Greta Thunberg, the darling on the left who many know as the 16-year-old that spoke out against climate change and its repercussions at the United Nations Summit, which is an interesting predicament in itself, how a teenager was invited to speak and lecture the most powerful leaders across the globe. Something of note is that the arrests weren't just some anonymous tip given to the police force, which led to a SWAT team raid on his 600,000-pound house in Bucharest, Romania. Rather, the US Embassy was involved in his arrest. This means that a warrant was issued on behalf of the US because of a discovery by diplomats that an American woman was being held against her will. It is alleged that a 22-year-old woman managed to recover her mobile phone and call her boyfriend in the US, who alerted the embassy. However, Andrew is denying these claims. Additionally, Romania ranks in the bottom half of countries according to the Corruption Perceptions Index. Its corruption level is ranked higher than that of China and Cuba and is in the same realm of corruption with countries like Kuwait and Senegal. Tate has even talked about how openly corrupt Romania is, having bought off officers for speeding tickets and other petty crimes. Who's to say that another entity or government that wants to silence Andrew would not be able to cut a check 10 times his net worth to Romanian officials in order to arrest him? After all, Biden just signed a $1.7 trillion government spending bill into law. He is mistaken if he thinks that Romania will protect him, as he continues to call out Western ideologies and create more enemies in the process. At this level of influence and the way he pokes strong institutes' buttons, he needs a strong ally, or else he will have no backing and will end up in prison or dead. He needs to align himself with a strategic partner that has as much power as those do that are attacking him. Even though the Taliban has come out in his support, he most likely needs more firepower. A friend like Putin or Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia would be great assistance and would probably be a mutually beneficial friendship. Many are celebrating his arrest in Romania's prison, where he is kept in a tiny bug-infested cell with his brother for 23 hours a day. However, where are those same people calling for the arrest of known individuals who visited Epstein's island countless of times, where there was proven evidence that young women were trafficked there? It is no secret that the powers that be have been silencing individuals that preach controversial and sometimes revolutionary ideas. Anaxagoras, a Greek philosopher in the 5th century, was exiled from Athens for preaching the radical thought that the moon was made of rock. He was first sentenced to death before a friend of his in the Senate convinced voters to lessen his penalty. Socrates, another Greek philosopher, was sentenced to death by drinking poison. He was said to be corrupting the youth and was accused of not believing in the gods of the state. Socrates was known for his method of questioning, which involved asking his students and opponents questions in order to help them arrive at the truth through logical reasoning. People in ancient Athens were discontent with him because of his questioning and challenging of traditional beliefs and practices. The silencing of influential individuals extend far beyond Greece and Europe, and is continued in other countries to this day, more openly in places like Iran, where a soccer player is being executed for supporting women's rights, and North Korea, where a student is being killed for distributing a Netflix show. These practices are not foreign and have been in play for centuries when a powerful entity wants to correct a rebellious person. If you want to hear more about some suspicious cases of multi-billionaires that became uber wealthy in a short amount of time, then suddenly passed away, check out my Mysterious Deaths of Crypto Billionaires video. What do you think about Tate's situation? Is he guilty of the crime he is being convicted of, or is he being wrongfully accused? Also, what strategy should he take if he wants to continue spreading his message? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already and check out my other videos. I am Rafe, and have a great rest of your day.